Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Robin. Welcome to this week's episode of the M Word, and thanks for joining. It seems like we keep changing the subject of these sessions at the last minute, because I do. Today we're supposed to be looking at an Autodesk Vault thing, but my Vault decided not to play ball, so this is a little bit winging it today. Not that I ever wing it. I'm being told I'm a bit loud, so I'm just going to turn down a little bit. Not that I ever wing it. I always do these really well prepared, honest. But today we're going to look at Autodesk Fusion and Freeform modeling. Inside of Fusion, there's a load of T-spline tools to use almost mesh modeling techniques. So pushing, pulling, extruding, and a whole load of other mesh-based tools to create a form inside of Fusion that we can then use for more of Fusion's functionality. So we're going to have a little look at that in a second. For those of you that are new to these sessions, we try and air them every week, although it kind of depends on our diaries and timescales here. But the idea of the M Word is to spend 20 minutes, half an hour or so every Thursday afternoon and share with you a workflow or a tip, a trick, something that you can hopefully learn from productivity-wise or new feature-wise or something like that inside of the software from Autodesk that we sell, service and support here at Man & Machine. So sometimes we look at AutoCAD, sometimes Revit, sometimes Fusion, Inventor, Autodesk Construction Cloud, Docs Build, Vault, and sometimes our own IP as well, like PDM Booster and things like that. So if you haven't already, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and more importantly, leave us some feedback. Let us know what kind of content that you would like to see on these sessions, what applications you would like to see us use, whether you just want to see overviews, specific tools or functions that you're struggling with that you'd like to have some tutorials on. Give us some feedback and let us know the kind of things that you would like to see. And we will be very, very happy to cover those in these sessions. Please also check out our channel because we have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands now, of videos on there. Whole different types of videos on different tools that we use and support of different lengths and different focal points as well. So from hour-long full overview demonstrations, tutorials, step-by-steps, please check the channel out, and again, give us a little like and subscribe so you can see when we put our new content up, which goes up weekly, and when you can see that we are live as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to stop jabbering and I'm going to share my screen. So I'm using Fusion. The same functionality to a degree is possible inside of Inventor as well. We have very similar freeform modeling tools inside of Inventor. But we're going to use Fusion today. If you've never used sort of freeform modeling techniques before, they can take a bit of getting used to, especially in the likes of Fusion, which is generally an intelligent parametric modeling tool. So to do things very aesthetically or very by eye can be a bit different. We're not going to use all of the tools, but we're going to use some of them and just start creating some models. Haven't quite decided what to create yet. We'll figure that out in a few minutes' time. But I'm inside of the latest build of Fusion. I updated this morning, so we're running the latest build. I want to be in my design area, so make sure your workspace is on design. And then under your solid modeling tools, you've got this purple box here that says Create Freeform. And what this will do is it will give you like a primitive form, like a sphere or a box that we can use as a base and then push it, pull it, manipulate it, almost as if it's a piece of clay so that we can get the kind of shape that we want. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Create Form. And then this gives us our toolbar for our form modeling tools. So we have a Create panel where we have the ability to choose what primitive shape that you want to start from. We're just going to choose a simple box to start with today. But you get your primitives that you can choose to start with. So you can model pretty much anything in here, but I like to sort of start with a box because it gives us a really good base in which to work from. And once you've got that form down, we can push it and pull it with the modify tools and then change the way in which we are modifying it with some tools like mirror symmetry, like circular symmetry, like duplication, so on and so forth, to make our life easier. So let's start by placing down a box. I'm going to choose to place a box down, and Fusion, much like it does if you're placing a sketch, just gets me to choose a base plane. So I'm going to choose the bottom plane here, and then we're going to draw a center point rectangle. So I'm just going to specify inside of my origin there, just snap, and then we have our creation. Now, although this is going to be very conceptual, very by eye, Fusion's parametric intelligence or underpinning knowledge and intelligence is there. So it is still going to let you type in dimensions. It's still going to let you work with parametrics. So if you wanted to make this a very, very specific size, absolutely you could. I'm not going to. I've got the joy in these videos of just making it up as I go along, and just doing something that looks about right. But clearly, if you're making a very specific design to 3D print, or something to go and mold, or whatever it might be, you'll have to be more specific than me. It's just the nature of the way it is, really. But I'm just going to come in and just choose something that is square. So I'm just going to type in 150 mil square for the purpose of this, and press enter, and we will be displayed with our primitive box. If you cannot see these edges, you want to turn them on. It's quite important that you see the edges because we're going to potentially want to use them. We certainly want to see the individual facets here, individual faces. So if you can't see them, come to the bottom of your window in Fusion to the display settings, go to your visual style and turn on shaded with visible edges. Because if you're working in this way, it's difficult to see what objects you've got to work with. So I'd recommend that you set shaded with visible edges. And then from there, as you can see, when we hover over, we've got different faces, we've got edges, we have points, and all of these can be selected and manipulated individually. So with our little box that we've got here, I don't know, I'm a pretty big F1 fan. Maybe I'm going to try and mock up a front wing, a nose cone and a front wing of a Formula One car. So I can use the objects that I've got here and start modeling. Caveat, this could look terrible. It could look nothing like a Formula One car. Maybe I'm going to model this and it will turn out like a stiletto. I don't know. Bear with me. Hopefully it will look like what I want it to look like, but hopefully you learn the tools and you get the general idea. So head over to Modify and click Edit Form. We've got a load of other modification tools. I just don't have time today to go through all of these. But each one of these tools has a specific use. For example, if I want to take one face and subdivide it into several other faces, I can subdivide it, or I can even insert edges by drawing a specific piece of geometry. There's a load of different tools that give you the ability to make your model more accurate or more precise. I'm just going to go ahead and choose Modify. This will prompt me to make a selection. You'll notice on the far right hand side of my screen, I've got a little Edit Form toolbar up here. And in this case, I can choose what it is that I'm selecting, how I want to work, the coordination space I'm on. We can even change our selection options to say I only want to select a face or I only want to select an edge. I'm not going to use any of that. I'm just going to leave everything completely as default. And the first thing I'm going to do is say, okay, well, imagine that this is the start of my nose cone. I just need to make the whole thing a little bit squarer. So I'm just going to go to a side view, window select all of those components there. Just window select the lot. And then you'll notice you get this gizmo. This gizmo is like a transform tool. So I can rotate, I can move up and down, I can scale. Oops, makes a lot of sense if you actually click the button. I can scale, and you can see that this is having like a uniform effect on what it is that I've got selected. I'm just doing a Control-Z to undo in between each of these. But as you can see, I can manipulate and tweak this as I see fit. With all of these selected, I'm just going to drag them up and just make them a little bit bigger. So I want to come up a little bit. And then I want to scale the top ones out ever so slightly. So it's not perfectly square, it's more sort of tapered. So let's go ahead and then just use the scale tool just to scale out a little bit so that we've got something that looks a little bit like this. Quite happy with that to begin with. I'm then going to use Control on my keyboard. I'm going to hold it down and I'm going to select these 4 faces in one go. Now I want to move them out to create the kind of nose shape of this front of the F1 car here, or front of the race car. So if I just click and drag that, it stretches, it moves the face. I don't want to do that. I want to create new geometry. So to do that, you want to hold down the Alt key, A-L-T, Alt, on your keyboard when you do that move. And that will add a face. So I can just drag this out a little bit and let go. That will create this whole new section here. So all of these faces and edges have just been created based on me selecting Alt whilst doing that move. And from there, I can then grab the relevant faces and work with them. So I'm just going to ever so slightly scale them inwards a little bit. And I also want to ever so slightly scale them downwards a little bit. So I'm going to use the scaling tools just to scale them ever so slightly. And then I'm going to move it. So I'm going to zoom right out and I'm just going to move it forwards. Maybe drag it down a little bit so there's a little bit of downward curvature there. Quite happy with that. From there, I'm going to hold down Alt again and drag the whole thing forward some more. Maybe not quite as much this time, but you can see if I look at this from the front that we've kind of got, starting here, slight down ramp, and then ending here. And again, even though I've done with those particular features, at any time I can grab that section and I can move it up, I can move it down. I can work with this as I see fit, dependent on the kind of shape that I want. So if I want a little bit more curvature, I can bring the top one up a little bit to get a little bit more shape going here. From here, I now want to say, okay, well that's kind of my nose cone shape that I want it. Maybe at the back here, I want to merge into that bigger shape around the cockpit. So I'm just going to grab these these 4 end shapes here. I'm going to hold down Alt again and drag backwards this time to be able to create geometry at the back. I'm going to be fairly lazy and just say that I'm going to scale them upwards a little bit, or outwards, sorry, to make them a little bit bigger, like so. From there, I'm going to grab the bottom faces and just drag them downwards a little bit to make them a little bit bigger. And you kind of get the general idea. This is now taking the shape that's kind of coming out and around the cockpit at the top. Quite happy with the looks of that. It looks okay. At the bottom here, I want to start thinking about creating the front wing. But if I grab these and pull them out, it's going to be a little bit too fat. I kind of need something that's a little bit skinnier. I've got a few different methods that I could use. I want to keep this fairly straightforward today, so hopefully you can all follow along and get something that looks fairly similar. But should I want to, I can select these 2 faces and I can select these 2 faces and I can start subdividing them. But I don't want to have to do all these things twice. I don't want to have to move these ones to the left a little bit and then these ones to the right a little bit and tweak and adjust. I'm lazy. Those of you that have been watching all of these for the past nearly 80 odd episodes will probably understand that I am lazy. I want to make this as easy as possible for me. And to do that, I've got some symmetry tools up here. So I can turn on symmetry, click 2 faces around my line of symmetry. So you can see here by clicking this one and this one, it's highlighted an edge all the way around my part, which is my mirror line. I'm happy with that. I can press OK. And what that does is it puts up a virtual mirror in the center of the part. So whatever I do over on the left-hand side here will be mimicked and replicated over on the right-hand side. So if I drag this one, it drags the other way around. So I do it once, it does it right. So I'm going to select these 2 faces. I'm going to go to Modify and I'm going to say that I want to subdivide them. And it gives me a load of options here with regards to that subdivision. So I've got my faces selected and I can choose how many faces I would like to subdivide by. I'm just going to say, do you know what? Let's go into 2 by 3. So I want to have 2 length and 3 in height. Press OK, and you can see that it takes down those surfaces and it subdivides them for me. I've probably gone a little bit too overly keen with that subdivision, so I'm actually going to do that again. And subdivide these two. Let's just do 2 by 2. And with that subdivision, I've got extra faces now that I can play with. So I can grab just this one face, and I can use my modify tools. With Alt held down, I can drag this out like so to start creating the extrusion for my front wing. Again, this is not accurate. This isn't really anything you're going to want to go and manufacture from. But you kind of get the idea that if you were adding the tolerances on here, if you were being careful with regards to the quality of the surface, the tangency, the Class A servicing, you could get something in here that's pretty nice. I'm being very inaccurate. Don't copy me, unless you want to learn how the tools work, in which case, copy me. So there we've got this extrusion that started, and I'm just going to literally do this by eye. So I've dragged that out a little bit. I'm going to drag it down a little bit, and maybe I'm even going to rotate it round a little bit as well. From there, I'm going to grab the end and hold down Alt and drag it out some more. And then maybe I'm also going to make it wider. And again, you'll notice that I'm doing this whole thing once, but it's mimicking me. It's copying me on the other side of the model as I go through and create the changes to this part. Everything I'm doing on the left is also happening on the right. Let's come out and do another one like this. Let's grab this face, hold down Alt, dragging it up, making it skinnier with the scaling tool that's coming up here, maybe dragging it to the left a little bit, and then Alt and drag upwards to create my end plate. And I'm getting something that I guess kind of represents what I'm attempting a little bit. Maybe not. Don't hire me. I'm not a Formula 1 designer, but hey ho, it looks kind of okay. So I've got something that represents the kind of front of the car here. Maybe I'm going to select these front faces and just bring them forwards a little bit more. I won't quite create an old style Caterham nose because that was a weird design, but we'll bring them in a little bit more so they're a bit more pointed, and maybe just make sure that they're not going to drag along the floor too much with regards to my front wing. Fairly happy with that, looks okay. So there's my my base design. So you can see it's coming along. It kind of looks, let's get an image up. F1 front wing. I'm not adding all of the different end plates, so on and so forth. But if I go ahead and bring up an image, it kind of looks about right. I guess I could come in and flare this back edge up a little bit. So maybe let's select just the edges here on the back edge and bring them up. So the whole thing's at a bit more of an angle. Let's maybe select those front edges here and bring them down so it's a little bit skinnier. And again, the whole thing kind of starts to make shape. It's far too thick, but again, I'm not here to really do this accurately. I'm kind of just trying to show you how the tools work. Again, it looks pretty good. It looks quite nice. So we can very quickly start creating these shapes. But you can really go ahead and create anything. So if I go and create a new design and maybe go back into this, and maybe this time what I'll do is I'll start with something that is more circular. So let's start with a sphere. Click to place my sphere. Maybe I'm going to drag that up to make it a little bit fatter. So even if you start with a different kind of shape like this sphere, the same kind of profile rules or background rules apply. So I can start to turn on symmetry to say I want to have symmetry around these two faces here. And then from there I can grab my components and I can drag them around. So oops, if I grab these two faces here, hold down my Alt key and drag them down, I can just tweak these and play with them slightly. I want these to be fairly round. It's my youngest daughter's birthday tomorrow and she loves teddy bears. So let's just model up something that hopefully represents a teddy bear inside of Fusion. So I have something that's a little bit rounder on here. Maybe we'll grab these edges and just pull them in a little bit so that we've got something that looks a little bit like some feet. And let's grab these faces here and bring them upwards. No, not tilt them. We definitely don't want to tilt them. And bring them upwards. So we've got something that looks like that. Lovely. The body's a little bit round. It's a bit like mine. Let's just drag those up a little bit and elongate this a little bit. Great. Maybe we'll just give it a little bit of definition. So maybe we'll grab these ones and just make it a little bit skinnier there. A little bit fatter there. Lovely. We've still got the symmetry there, so let's go and grab this at the side and hold down Alt and extrude it outwards. And from there, again, I kind of want this a little bit more round, so I'm just going to be lazy and use my scaling tools just to kind of get this to the right sort of shape that I'm after. Come inwards a little bit, down a little bit, maybe rotate round so they're pointing downwards. Hold down Alt, drag it away and start creating something that's representing some arms. Would have been easier to model a rubber duck. Come out a little bit, down a little bit, and then out a little bit more. Lovely. Maybe we'll just make these a little bit skinnier at the end. I'm not putting fingers on there because that would take me forever. There we go. Looks like it's running at someone like this. So there is that. And actually, what might be easier when it comes to modeling this is to add another form on top. So I'm going to add another sphere, and the whole sphere is going to be placed again on the ground, just there. Maybe leave it at 40 this time. But that second sphere, I can modify it. If I turn off the first body by holding it here, I can modify the whole of the second body and move it up individually. So I'm going to bring that down so it's kind of sitting and overlapping on this one here. And then I'm going to scale it, make it a bit bigger, like so. This thing is going to look scary. There we go. Something that looks like that. We need to have a couple of ears. So again, let's turn on symmetry around the top of this. Oops. Head just here. Something like that is great. We're going to have these two faces. I'm going to drag them up and out. We need to probably round them a little bit, so let's just drag those up and out. Yeah, something that looks like that is okay. And then I kind of want to indent them. So if I select these two faces, again with Control held down, I'm first going to scale them in a tiny little bit, and then I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to drag them into themselves. So rather than out to create new, if I drag them in, it creates new faces but also indents, as you can see. I'm going to bring them into the design. Again, this is far from accurate and not necessarily something you're going to be able to manufacture from. But I can come in and drag those in to kind of give it that that kind of indent look that we're looking for with some teddy bear's ears. And then we could come and grab these outer edges here if we wanted to, and we could make them thicker. So I could hold down Alt and bring them forwards a little bit to make them thicker, and then I could scale them inwards. I'm not going to bother, but again, you get the idea. I'm kind of doing this fairly rushed, but you kind of understand and appreciate where I'm coming from. And then from there, we just need a couple of eyes. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to drag it inwards to create two holes. That looks absolutely atrocious, but we're going to go with it. Make them a little bit smaller, and we're pretty happy. And then finally, let's just turn those two bodies off. Let's create two new spheres on my ground plane. We want them to be about 25 maybe. Let's grab the first one. Let's modify it just to move it right up out the way. and then we can just get that into position where we want our eyes for our little bear. 25 is far too big, which is really frustrating, but never mind. Let's come in with scale. Scale this right down. Probably should have done something like 5 mil or something like that. Bring this right down. Again, I'm just going to use the top view. I'm doing this all by eye. Again, making it all up as I go along. Don't think badly of me. Oops. And place it roughly in the middle. We're going to stick him there. And from the front, bring him upwards and put him roughly in the right place. He's still a little bit too far out, but he looks okay. So there's our first component. There's our first eye. Can we duplicate the eye? I don't know if we can. I don't know if we've got a duplication tool. Display, convert. Have we got a copy? Copy. I don't think we have. Yes, we do. Move and copy. I want to create a copy of the entire eye, please. And I want to modify the entire eye and move him that way. Beautiful. There we go. World's scariest teddy bear made in Fusion 360. Sorry, not Fusion 360 anymore, just Fusion. Shaded. Ah, he's lovely. To my youngest daughter, I apologise. I've made the world's most scariest teddy bear. But maybe it looks better than the Formula 1 front wing. So once you've got those, doesn't matter what it is you've modelled and how you've modelled it, we could grab this component now and we can use it. So if I hit Finish Form, this just goes back into Fusion as a lump. So if you have a look in my body, every one of these is an individual body. But if you want to, I can start combining them together. So I can grab my, my head here and my two eyes, and I can say that I want to combine them. And that will combine all those bodies together into a single lump and treat them as a single extrusion. Again, if you're 3D printing something, if you're going to eventually want to mold something, to be able to do this, model all the bodies individually and then come together to combine them as a single lump, it could really help you out. So the short note here is to create anything, no matter how garishly freaky it is or not, it's really quick, it's really easy, and it really comes down to what you can imagine or do with your brain and a mouse and a keyboard. Very quickly we can model something up that looks pretty good. Once we've got that, we can then come out of the Freeform modeling tools and we are directly inside of Fusion. So if you want to come in here and start working on it further. So let's imagine on our F1 keyring here, on our F1 nose cone here, let's say that we wanted to turn this into a keyring. I can literally come in and I could use any of the standard tools inside of Fusion to stick a big old extrusion on here. So I can say, give me a construction plane above the whole lot because I'm lazy. Go ahead, create a sketch on that construction plane, create a circular shape just here, finish my sketch, and I'm just going to say, press and pull that as a cut all the way through. That will cut my component. I can then take away the sharp edge with a fillet. Let's just say a 2mm fillet on either side. And there we have a modified component. So once it's back into normal Fusion, you're inside of your normal modeling environment. You can do anything that it is that you want. So whether you're purely freeform modeling, whether you want to model something freeform to go with a wider component, a seat in a car, I don't know, anything that you find more complicated to do with more traditional modeling methods because of the curvature, the aesthetics, really the world is your oyster. And that is all I wanted to show. I shall leave you with my scary teddy bear. He looks horrible, but I like him. There's something quite cute about him. His eyes are a bit weird though. And that is all I want to show. So hopefully from that, hopefully yours looks better than mine, but hopefully you've got an idea on how these freeform tools work. There's a video that I did probably 4 or 5 years ago where I created a jet plane. That's worth a watch as well. The tools have come on a little bit since then, but again, please go and check it out. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us some comments and let us know what you want to see. Keep an eye on the socials to see what you're going to be doing over the weeks ahead. And until we see you next time, take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.